Well, hello and welcome to this week's edition of the SharePoint video. This is a weekly video brought to you by the SharePoint Users Group or the sug.org. And my name is Bordner, and I have deliberately put myself in harm's way for you guys this week to make a point. I will start out by saying I am deadly allergic to bee stings. One sting from one of these guys and I am a goner. But the point I want to make to you guys this week is just that important. It's two words: SharePoint and governance. I can think of few things out there, nature or otherwise, that relies more heavily on a solid governance plan than bees. To maintain a successful beehive, they've got to have a hive and a colony that runs efficiently and is sustainable throughout the year. Their very lives depend on it. And it's a good analogy, I think, because there's many different types of bees, just like there's many different types of SharePoint users. Starting at the top, of course, you have the queen bee, and she's in charge of making more bees. What kind of bees does she make? Well, she can make information worker bees or field bees. They're the ones that goes out and collects the nectar and brings it back to the hive. And of course, you have guardian bees or guard bees. They guard the colony. That's your SharePoint security. We can go on and on with this analogy, but I'm not super comfortable sitting right here. So, what is SharePoint governance? You've heard about it by now, so exactly what is it? Well, I have a handful of bullets I'll read off to you, but it's much, much more bigger than this. Governance, you can think of it as your plan. This is your playbook that you're going to use moving forward and that you're going to reference when you have a question. When you have a quick question and the answer is not something that you want to have been answered in a quick fashion. So in other words, disaster recovery, for example. Well, that would come up when? When your servers blow up and you need to restore very quickly. That's not the time to hash out your DR strategy. Some more examples might include capacity and performance planning. In fact, what are you even trying to accomplish with your SharePoint environment? Is it an intranet or extranet, public-facing site? Are you using SharePoint platform for all these scenarios? Each and every one of those should have a goal, and you should have this documented so you can refer to that to defend any kind of decisions that need to be made. Critical success factors to support any of those scenarios as well. Of course, disaster recovery, planning for the unexpected, maximizing your availability. What's your uptime tolerance? What can you handle? How long can this be down until you guys are in big trouble? Of course, security and your business processes. An example of a business process that would work its way into your SharePoint governance plan would be site procurement. I'm in HR and I need a one-off workspace sometime. Do I create that? What's the escalation procedure? How do I request that? So the proper attention needs to be made to all of those things and so much more, and the time to do that is now. Now, you can do it now or you can do it at a later date. You're going to have to do it at some point, and the sooner you get that out of the way, the easier it is going to be for you. Now, as you probably already know, if you already have a SharePoint governance plan, these plans can evolve, and they can evolve rapidly and very quickly. Users change what they want based off of things that they now know, and I've seen some pretty cool tricks on handling this. You can get your governance and make it a lot more user-friendly, and you can even get it to where it's easily consumable, just not by you, but by everyone within your organization. I've seen them put their governance plans in actual wikis, and you put it in a wiki and everyone can access it. Everyone can put in their 2 cents. You can even extend that. You know you support your governance with content types, so that's what enforces your SharePoint governance. Why not have a content type that references a wiki entry? You can do that within the description of the content type. There's a lot of great tricks you can do, but the main thing here is to get your governance plan up and running and make it accessible to everybody that's involved. Obviously, going through all of the things of your SharePoint governance is out of the scope of this week's video. However, there's a lot of great resources available out there and accessible to you guys. And I would recommend binging SharePoint governance. One of the first listings that'll come up is a link to TechNet. It's actually called the Governance Resource Center for SharePoint Server 2007. This place is loaded with great worksheets for you to fill out to get you from point A to point B. It has videos. It has all kinds of information that's going to help you get started with your governance plan, or even fine-tune the one you already have. So for this week, SharePoint Users Group Weekly videos, this is Sean Bordner. Again, remember guys, check back again next week for next week's video. And I look forward to hearing from you on how your governance plans are shaping up. Thanks a lot.